Hey guys, GHAZZY here with a game review video, if you will. It's a bit hard to put a title on this one, actually. I've been playing with a sponsored segment, thanks again Square Enix for the sponsorship, playing the Final Fantasy XIV Online, and this is not my first rodeo of having a sponsored section for Final Fantasy XIV Online, and I've heard a lot of good things, a couple of negative things, and I wanted to talk about the things that I've experienced and a few other details around it. And as for the previous experience with this game, I've always had a good time, and I've had a really good time when it comes to the way the game is for my nostalgia reasons with the music, which is playing in the background now, for example. I absolutely love it. But taking that aside and looking at the game more objectively, I feel like there's so much you can do. It's absolutely crazy. Now, I've been focusing mainly on my class quest and the main story quest and try to disregard this time around any other side areas. And that felt really good because the main story quest basically takes you to introduce you to the bigger cities and bigger areas around the world. At least so far that I've been playing, I'm currently level 20 downscale. Actually, I'm higher level than that, 27, I think, 28. And what's really cool with it is that you get introduced to these bigger areas around the world. And the first thing the quest does is get you to an actual dungeon, which I just finished as we started this little video recording. I actually like that because as a fan of MMO games in general, I actually really enjoy doing dungeon grinds personally, and that the main story quest literally shoves you in to introduce yourself to each different type of dungeons in the different zones, or the initial dungeons, to my understanding. I actually really like that personally. Experience-wise and whatnot, the whole idea with the game is to allow you to immerse yourself in the world, and there's a couple of things I want to talk about there. One negative one that's rather big in my opinion. But the first and most important big positive one is that unlike many other games, you don't have to pay to test the game out to its full extent. The initial story and everything going all the way up to level 60, I believe it is, in the initial trial of the game, you can play unlimited amount of game time, and you can play that for free to see if this is a game that you would enjoy. Then, if you then decide that you want to play the expansions after that, then you'll have to pay for the games. There's so many hours of gameplay and enjoyment that you can get for nothing. Whereas most other games would charge you to even start playing the game. I think that's a great business model to introduce people to the game. However, the game focuses a lot about immersion and making sure that you get to dive into the world, right? And feel that your character is progressing the story and building up everything from there, from the main story quest to all the side quests and everything. And I felt a lack of quality in the cutscenes, but early on, there's a couple cutscenes that has really, really cool voice acting that really felt that the quality just got 10 times better. So chat was telling me that apparently the voice acting is something that they've invested in a lot for the future expansions, and that the initial baseline game doesn't have that much of the voice acting, which is kind of sad to hear. But just to make sure that you understand that in the future expansions, if you decide to pay for the game and the higher content, there's going to be a lot better immersion for the cutscenes, and that's something I really appreciated. Another thing to point out was the immersion and the progression of your character in comparing this to other MMO games was something that I found rather interesting, and that was actually the whole point of you being in a position where in other games you get shoved your core abilities for your class, whatever you're playing, and then you're expected to just try to understand how your rotation for damage is supposed to be for AoE versus single target. Whereas in this game, it has been, you barely get any skills in the start. So the dungeons I've been doing, haven't had that many different skills to use. The class I'm playing right now is an Arcanist, which later could be a Summoner, which was my goal and is my goal. So it's been rather spammy with certain skills, but at least it has given me a very good sense of how I'm supposed to play with the tool set and the abilities I have access to right now. And every time I've gotten something new, for example, the last addition I got was the Summon Emerald, allowed me to have more of an AoE approach to spells. And since I had a full understanding and actual experience in gameplay time of my old rotation, adding something else to it was a very smooth and easy transition to do. And that made it much easier for me to understand where this new ability could come in place for my rotation and my performance in game. And I'm actually very happy with that, because it allows me to entirely disregard the idea of going through a tutorial or reading up on rotation, because you can actually figure that out yourself very simply by progressing your character. they have so much you can do with the in-game settings for how you can sort your own interface. You can change pretty much everything that you want in here, and I actually really like this, because it allows you to design the UI after your desires, and most of these things that you see on the screen right now are not going to be things you need in the early levels that I'm at right now. Like these bars, they're not even shown, so I just stacked them here till maybe I'll have use of them later. And understanding how these things work was very simple and very easy to navigate through. So you can also, to my understanding, change between different sets. You can have one for example, if you're healing, or one for when you're doing damage or playing different classes. Which brings me to another really cool, good thing with this game. I personally like class identity, where if you're playing a certain class, let's say I'm playing a summoner, then my character and that character is a summoner, not something else. In Final Fantasy XIV Online, you're actually able to have any class on one single character. So you never have to level up an alternative character. You can have one character with different gear sets and everything designed to be any class you want to play for the day. So I think that's really cool. I know a lot of people appreciate that, and not needing to have separate characters, which is a very cool quality of life addition to a game like this. That's one of the things. I know that we're speaking of the add-on discussion a little bit. I do want to mention that they did not allow add-ons at all, which includes things like a DPS meter. Now, that's something I personally am a big fan of when it comes to MMO games, and I like performance, and I want to see that I'm performing better. At the same time, that can turn the game into more of a focus on the numbers and getting the best gear and focusing on the actual performance of that, rather than the immersion of playing the game. I haven't really felt the need to see a DPS meter, even though I have a fundamental desire to see one. I haven't really cared too much about it, because playing the game and doing my rotation feels like I'm doing the right play, and you can still figure that out. So I actually liked it, at the same time as I kind of still want to see a DPS meter. I'm a little bit on the fence on that decision myself. Depending on what you guys think of this, do let me know in the comments below. But it's been fun. I've really liked it. Something that's really cool, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but it's the graphics. I actually like this kind of graphics in an MMO game. I do. I find it rather good. I mean, it's not great, perfect, but it's okay. It's good. It's good graphics. I was told that apparently soon, even, that there would be a graphic overhaul improving everything across the board, which is a really cool thing to hear about as well. Outside of that, the last thing I do want to mention that I had that was a really cool experience. When you go into a dungeon, you can choose to do it solo with having a set core party of NPCs, so you don't have to actually play with people. And because of all the side stuffs and side quests you can do, you can actually go into this game and treat it as a single player game and just literally dive into the story and play this as a single player game. Or you can choose to play with other friends or other people. You can even queue up, like in this case, I can queue up to a dungeon and say join. In this case, I'll be able to queue up for a dungeon. In this case, it says an average wait time is 6 minutes. It'll fill up the DPS, the heal of the tank, and allows me to play with other people as well. And you can do this when you're higher level, because the dungeons has a max level that you're set to. So the dungeon I just did, my character was automatically downscaled to level 20, which is why I couldn't use the emerald, because it requires level 22, though I am level 28. So that allows you to do other lower tier dungeons without that being a negative thing. And you can play with your friends, even if one of your friends is higher level than the others, because your character will be downscaled too. I actually like this, because there's a lot of small tweaks and quirks that allows you to have some quality of life features in games like this that makes it more enjoyable. But my TLDR of the experience I've had with this sponsor stream and the playthrough I've had is that I'm actually enjoying this game very much. I think that it's really good, based on the information and feedback, and there's so much to do. I don't even know where to start. It's just so much content. I think that the best part of it, being an MMO or RPG game, is the fact that due to the extensive amount of content that's available, it actually could be played very easily and enjoyably as a single player game as well, just for the storyline. I wouldn't be surprised if I just continued playing my character just to go through the story when I have time on the side, because I know for a fact I don't really have time to devote myself into the MMO raiding aspect of it. But Final Fantasy XIV Online allows me to play this as a single player game and just have fun with it in that sense, and it's been very enjoyable so far. So I'm very likely going to be doing that and seeing the late game of this as well. But let me know what you guys think of this game in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, as always, subscribe for more content, stay safe, keep rocking.